Okay, we got him out.
Oh my god. Hey, feet.
No, got him. This little guy's full. All of his ports are filled. All right.
Where'd you get those shoes?
Those are my steel toes for work. You're officially soundproof. Dun, dun. All right, ready, Vinny?
Between me and Tavia. Okay, my feetsies are right
Yep,
here.
watch your feetsies. Watch your feetsies. I'm coming around. I'm coming around.
Coming in.
I'm coming out. No, yeah, I guess that's out. Not in, huh? Alright, Maddie.
Okay. Hey, go.
Alright. Barry! You need to hold me a drink, okay?
Oh, my dear.
Yeah, fix your little eyeballs. You're on camera. You should have got your bow.
Mine,
Is he dressed? He's got his bow still?
not from graduation.
Oh, dang.
Because fucking Jaden stole his bow. But he's got his collar.
Cute. Okay. Hold my drink. Thanks. You're the bestest. Woo!
Hey, I need to do that too.
Alright.
Oh, my.
That's weird.
I look like I have broad ass shoulders.
That's because you have all your things open.
Well, if I pull it down, it's a dummy.
Alright, well, get yourself all situated.
Promise I'm dressed. Okay.
You sit up straight.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
I told you my back.
My
My back is fucked. I could put my shoulders back. That's about it.
Yeah.
And even then, that was.
Put your chest out. Say it with your chest.
Say it with your chest.
Oh, it's painful.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is Ted not in the picture?
Hims is.
Okay. Barely.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Christ.
you give him a whiplash, man. Shit. Dang, you're so mean. I got you, boo.
There we go.
I almost poked you in the eye with my pencil. I'm so sorry.
Look, his eyes already like shattered.
Oh. Oh.
That's because somebody threw him on the bus to Teton Science School, and I'm so mad.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm graduated. Go ahead.
Hey everybody, welcome to Smile Girl Don't Be Nervous. I'm Lana.
And I'm Esperanza. I lost my pencil.
Oh,
I found it.
Dude, it hasn't even started yet. Alright, so welcome everybody back again. Thank you for watching the trailer in episode 1 and 2. We are listening to your constructive criticism, so if you have anything else to suggest, please let us know. We are trying a new environment today. Welcome to my bedroom.
That sounds so weird.
We're getting intimate here.
Oh.
But no, we were doing something a little bit different because we wanted to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more real. And plus we have visual aids for you today. So we had to change up the studio look. So welcome to my bedroom. Just wanted to do all of the introductions. Of course, I'm Juana. I'm the mom. And
I'm Esperanza. I'm the daughter.
and this podcast is for anybody who wants to learn. We will be doing scientific studies, doing quotes in order to engage in discussion. So, yes, thank you for coming. Trigger warnings for this episode. We will have swearing and toxic relationships being talked about because we swear all the time.
Sorry, not sorry.
And toxic relationships. So,
Yeah.
if you, once again, the disclosure stuff, if you want to disclose or need to disclose, please find a trusted adult in your circle. Please don't tell another child. Please don't tell another child. They don't have
They
the
can't
power
do much.
to do anything. So please find any trusted adult, teacher, family member, mom, dad, church leader, wherever you are, coworker. Just please tell somebody. If you don't have anybody, reach out to
We got you.
law enforcement, or reach out to us, and then we'll see what we can do. Disclaimers: our thoughts are not the views of the author and are in no way affiliated with the books or the authors or the publishing companies. Our thoughts are purely our own. So spoiler alert, we will have lots of spoiler alerts this episode. We will be talking, this particular quote is from Marked, Book 1 of House of Night, page 41. But we will be talking about some future situations that happened with Zoe and Aphrodite in future books. So just so you know that you're aware, we will have some spoiler alerts for this episode. So the quote that we are reviewing today is, "Believe in yourself and you will find a way." So the context for this quote, Zoe, as you know, has been marked, and she is headed to her Grandma Redbird's lavender farm. Woo! Yes.
I would die.
She'd be in heaven. She loves lavender so much. So Zoe's passed out because she's fallen and hit her head, and Nyx is conversing with her. So Nyx tells Zoe that Zoe will be her eyes and ears in the world today, a world where good and evil are struggling to find balance. After Zoe objects, because any teenager would.
Yeah.
Nyx tells her, "You're old beyond your years, Zoe Bird. Believe in yourself and you will find a way. But remember, darkness does not always equate to evil, just as light does not always bring good." This is from Marked, Book 1, House of Night by PC and Kristen Cass, page 41. So the study that we will be going over today is written by Carolyn Maggie Bell, Tyler A. Vest, and Sarah J. White. The title of this article is "Dealing with Doubt, Overcoming Imposter Syndrome in New Practitioners." This was published in the American Journal of Health System Pharmacy, pages 421 to 423. I think this is volume 79, issue 6. So the citation will be in the notes. So if you want to read the full article, you're more than welcome to do that. We actually suggest that you do that so you can come to your own conclusions and make sure, because this is all peer-reviewed stuff, so we do like lots of eyes on the studies. So this particular article talks about imposter syndrome, and the definition of imposter syndrome is a sense of constant fear that one's achievements are because of luck of timing instead of merit. Mm-hmm. This one hit hard for me. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Cause
the conversation that we had about this one was a little tough.
Yeah, it was, because I was like, damn, why you gotta call me out like that?
Yeah.
So according to this article, feelings of imposter syndrome, you will be feeling like you're not capable or adequate as others perceive you to be. Signs that you are experiencing this is you exhibit perfectionist tendencies, fearing discoveries, and refusing to own one's own successes and downplay your achievements. That comes at me hard because, excuse me, I'm so sorry. There's a frog in my throat.
Ew.
Ribbit.
Okay, Tiana.
So this one hit me hard because this is...
We downplay ourselves a lot.
A lot. Like, I do this constantly, like, oh, well, I don't know if I can do this, or, I don't know if I can take on those responsibilities or whatever. Even though I've done like a whole slew of other things that are very similar to like what I'm trying to do.
Right, but the second that it's a step up, we're like,
yeah,
straight just like panic mode. And we've always done that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's a learned behavior, nature versus nurture. We will definitely have lots of those conversations, but Yeah, that's definitely something that is a huge issue for me. It is something that I'm tackling in counseling. We do support counseling here. If you do want to do it, if you don't want to do it, you definitely do need to find a good counselor, a good match. We talked about counseling being like dating in episode 2. So, yes, definitely refer to that if you want to have a more in-depth discussion about counseling. So, in this particular quote, Zoe questions literally everything that she's doing, every decision that she has to make. She is like, I don't know if I can do this, and she constantly says, I'm just a teenager that doesn't even know how to parallel park.
Shit, me either.
I know, the struggle is real.
Yeah.
My new job, I have to reverse into my parking spot, and I'm like, ah. Yeah.
You know, you suck at it.
I know, I did really good when we were in Seattle there for
Yeah.
a second.
I reversed out of this like driveway like no other.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, we all go in and out of this driveway. I swear Justin's gonna take out these stairs. One point in time, I just know he is. So Aphrodite does what she knows, but has to learn her lessons later. So further in the book, Aphrodite right now isn't part of the nerd herd. She is part of the popular crowd. She's like that mean girl, that like picture perfect mean girl where everybody is like less than. She has more money than everybody else, so nobody knows what her life is like. She real bougie. And but later on, she starts learning how she needs to come out of that, because the reason why she has that real big tough girl facade going is because secretly she is very insecure about what she's supposed to be doing, the roles that her parents have for her, the roles that Neferette has for her.
Her parents are really hard on her.
Her parents are really hard on her. And we do talk about that, I believe, in episode 5 or 6.
We talked about the slop in 2, I think.
Okay. Yep. So
when she lost the Dark Daughters.
Yes, that is right. So, I mean, her parents are really harsh on her. They have super high expectations for her, higher than necessary. Because as a parent, I think you do need to have high expectation for your kids, but that's a whole different discussion. So, like
unreachable.
Yeah, like completely unreachable. And all the uns, unreachable, unacceptable. Like they're just not okay.
Yeah.
So the Aphrodite has to learn her own lessons, to learn to start believing in herself in order to be the true prophetess. I'm sorry, of Nyx. Good Lord, I'm so sorry. All these names running through. So according to the article, I totally lost my place. According to the article, imposter syndrome is very common in high achievers, and they tend to link their self-worth with achievement.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's a big thing, especially for us.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely, I feel like we've achieved a lot, but when we have to list them off, we're like...
Even just thinking, like, sitting there and just be like, okay, what have I done that's good? Because we're constantly thinking about, oh, I did this wrong, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to fix, da-da-da-da-da. Our brains think about negativity so much that the second that you're like, okay, what have I done good? What have I achieved? And you're like,
nothing. Yeah, nothing.
Because our brain, I feel like our brain just focuses so much on negativity that the second comes to good, we blank.
And that brings us to our next point, where it says perfectionists are never satisfied with their achievements. They often focus on their mistakes and feel shame or disappointment when they fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, again, with going with negativity, like, that second that you feel that disappointment, you're like, oh, well,
I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Yeah. And so then that's when your self-talk comes in and is like, dude, what the fuck?
Shaniqua.
Fucking Shaniqua, bruh. but like it just goes on with our brain just going so well with failure and disappointment that it's just like, oh, there's another thing added, and then the second it comes to good, you're like, yeah.
Okay, that was nice. That
Yeah.
was nice for a quick minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm actually learning in counseling. I am doing cognitive behavioral therapy. And there is another one called trauma-based cognitive behavioral therapy. And it teaches you to stop those thoughts like mid-track, how to figure out the story that you're telling yourself. Right? So like a situation happens and you instantly feel a certain way about it. But why do you feel like we usually go to, okay, something happened and then I felt this.
Right.
But there's a step in between there that people miss. So like something happens, your brain tells you a story that causes you to feel this. But that may not be what really happened in the situation.
Right.
So cognitive behavioral therapy is teaching me to figure out what are the stories that I'm telling myself in order to feel these things, right? Mm-hmm. Like you got to have like step 2 because I'm going to like step 1 to step 5 because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like in
really
everything. So learning that second step, like what stories, and then like are those stories true? Where are those stories coming from? Right? So like you got to question all that.
Is that a trauma thing?
Well,
or
yeah, because I think it's both. Like we have been in survival mode for so long that your brain just automatically comes to those things.
Right.
Like because it's like so many other situations that you're just like, okay, I gotta survive. I gotta do those things. I gotta, get to this point, and she's gotta be happy, and we gotta do this, and we gotta do that, and there's so many things to do, and what do I do now?
Right.
Where you're just automatically reacting that you're not thinking through the process.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Learning lots. So according to this author, in this article, they talk about a book written by Valerie Young. She is the author of The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, Why Capable People Suffer from Imposter Syndrome and How to Thrive in Spite of It. And she gave steps to deal with imposter syndrome. There's 10. Okay? So the first one is break the silence. Recognize when you feel fraudulent and talk about it. Discuss your feelings of imposter syndrome with your peers. This one, I actually did this for the first time, like I think ever in my life.
A few months ago.
Yeah, a few months ago. I believe I did talk about this in the board meeting. I believe that was in episode 2. Yep. So I think you really need to definitely go back to episode 2 in order to get some backstories before you listen to this one. So, and if you haven't, let me tell you just a quick synopsis of the story. I was in a board meeting for my best friend Shauna Fernick Cases, 501c3 for Underground Bull Riding Productions. And I was in a board meeting with Justin Bragg, who is a sponsor for Smile Girl Don't Be Nervous. So yay, we heart him. Thank you, Justin. Much love. So we were in the board meeting with Justin, Shauna, my best friend, and then Michael and Michelle McGill, and they are amazing photographers. They have McGill Photography based out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, and they go around like all over. They follow us a lot. Yeah. To all of our underground production events, and they do Western photography, wedding photography, and I think like individual portraits. So, and they do like this Western flair on them. They've got great photos. Please go check them out on Facebook, on their website, michaelmcgillphotography.com. I believe it's I believe it's McGill Photography on Facebook as well. So definitely go check them out. They are definitely worth the money. Please invite them to any of your social events. They will get you some fabulous photos.
He's so great.
And they're so nice. They're so nice. And so funny. They are so funny.
Michelle and I, we could sit there and just laugh for hours.
Like, they're hilarious. Anyway, so we're at this board meeting, all 5 of us, and we're in Buffalo, super uncomfortable anyway, because Buffalo is the first place that I really experienced racism. Mm-hmm. So I was really leery about being there. We're in a restaurant. We're having a board meeting about underground. We're talking through everything. We've got like a whole packet of information that we have to go over for the setup of the company and the events that we're leading up to. We had our finals in Newcastle, so we were talking about that. We were talking about our Thermopolis event that was coming up. We were talking about setting up the articles of incorporation and fundraising and the marketing plan. We were talking about all of these things, and so we had this like literally manila folder full of all of these things that I had put together. Feeling really good about it. I had driven up from Casper to Gillette that night before in order to help Shauna put everything together for the minutes and the agenda. We had printed everything out, got everything divvied up for everybody. I'm feeling really good about it, feeling real confident going into the meeting. I'm ready. I've got writing utensils and folders set out for everybody like it's a classroom.
You've always done
Totally in control of the situation, right? Super organized. Everybody starts showing up. We start talking. Shauna leads off with the meeting. She's going through with the meeting. And all of a sudden, we start talking about photography and how people pay like tens of thousands of dollars for a wedding photographer. And I am completely out of my element. And I'm like, I remember having a baby shower and we had disposable cameras and everybody had a disposable camera and that was how I got pictures of my baby shower.
I feel like you shouldn't, like my photographer for modeling, like my first few
Like professional
sessions
yeah.
were free.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I still have those pictures to this day and some of them are still my headshots.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I feel like you shouldn't have to pay thousands of dollars for a photographer. Like
No.
I get that you are paying for the pictures and the gas and the
And the
hotel
quality,
room and the quality
like, yes,
and
absolutely.
the amount that you're getting and everything like that. But it shouldn't have to be, oh, well you paid this much, well I paid this much.
Right.
Like
Right.
it shouldn't be like that. And nobody fucking cares.
Well, if you're in that world, some people
It
do.
shouldn't be that
right.
way though.
And totally not saying that you shouldn't be able to pay for quality because absolutely you
Yeah.
can. I would pay for any of McGill's photos.
If they
are fabulous.
If they did my modeling pictures, dude.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, I went to Lynette Franco in I believe she's in Longmont, Colorado.
Yeah.
And I did a boudoir photo shoot with her and would gladly go again. And she was amazing. I think my entire package was, I think like $1,200 or $1,500, and that was for a full makeover. The prints, I got a little drive, a USB drive, and a full like printing rights of all of the pictures that I had done in that photo session.
I know you can't see it, but there's one right here.
They were fabulous. They were absolutely fabulous, and I would go again tomorrow if I had the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we are definitely not saying to not pay that much for pictures because there are times that you definitely do need to pay that extra for good quality photos. But
yeah, it shouldn't be a competition.
We were talking about like the status of it all. You know, about like upping. Oh yeah, well I paid $10,000. Well I paid $20,000 for my wedding photography. So that's not like, so that conversation happened, and I don't know, I don't come from that world, you know, I grew up West Side Cheyenne.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't even know how to handle myself in this kind of situation. Didn't really say much the rest of the board meeting. As we were coming back from Buffalo to Gillette, because I was coming back home with Shauna, we were overwhelmed, right? She's on the phone with her husband, and he was telling her that we need to get like a documentary going of what her life is like in planning her rodeo events and what
like a blog
life is like on a daily, like from planning the event to holding the event to what happens after the event to putting everything away, like a day in the life of for Shauna's event stuff. So she was talking about that on top of everything else, on all of the great ideas that we'd received from the board meeting. And we were just like, you know when you get to that point where you're just so inundated with so much information
that you shut down,
where your brain is just like not doing it anymore. So we were there, and then she's talking with her husband on the phone, and I'm just silent because I cannot take in any more information because I'm still trying to process.
Right.
Not feeling like I fit in to this world that I had signed up for. Shauna's like, okay, so she gets off the phone with her husband. She's like, okay, like what's going on? Like you're really quiet. What's happening? And I said, Shauna, can I be real vulnerable with you? And she's like, yeah, never said that before in my life.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, like what's going on? And I was like, so you know, like that conversation, like, and I start crying. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be here. Like, I've never done anything in the Western world. I don't know how to do anything in the cowboy world. You know, I feel at home in the arena. I get to the, you know, the gates, arena corrals and like the fences, and I sit there and I am just at peace. But I don't know shit about rodeo. I don't know nothing about bull riding.
Right.
I don't know how to dress. I don't know what I'm supposed to wear. I don't know if I can afford these things. I'm using Justin's jacket, you know, because
Yeah.
I don't have the things. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. A lot of the Westerners that I've come across, they're like,
Right. I feel like the Western world is so small here, though, because I wouldn't say like the Western world, but like bull riding is so small.
yeah,
around
because
here.
we're in Wyoming.
Right, and
And you would
so
think,
like
yeah, we're cowboys, but
not
they're ranchers, not necessarily bull
Yeah.
riders.
And so like since the bull riding world is so small, like everybody knows everybody. So the second somebody new comes in, they're like, oh,
Who are you?
who's this?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's why we get so many looks because we're new
Right.
into it.
And it's not that they're not nice because they are super nice, super respectful. It's just that, that's what I was experiencing, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can be here. I don't know if I can afford to be here. What did I sign up for? And she's like, whoa, 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 stop.
Yeah.
Like, you're here because you're my best friend, first and foremost. I don't care if you're not doing anything, you would still be here.
Yeah.
But you have to realize that you started this 501c3. You put the paperwork together. We figured out the taxes together. Like, we're putting events together. We've got contracts written for the people to fill out for event. Like, you're doing all of these things, and that's what you bring to the table because nobody else on that table,
Knows
despite how much money they had, knew how to do any of those things.
And you threw together that paperwork in like
A day.
Yeah. And you wrote it all.
Yeah.
And I bet nobody else could have done that.
Nobody. Everybody was super impressed about everything that was in that packet. They were reading through everything and were like, "Oh my God, this looks amazing."
Yeah.
You know, they didn't suggest any changes that needed to be made, so they were super happy with what was provided. So, you know, Shauna's like, "You bring something that nobody else at that table has, and that's how you fit in." But that was like the imposter syndrome really hitting because I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, like, nobody made edits. Like, is this really okay? You know, a year and a half of paralegal school, like, and like, I'm still, this isn't enough. This isn't right.
Well, because even though you may not have like a paralegal job, you're still using it.
Right. 110%.
Almost daily.
Yeah.
And shit, so am I.
Yeah. You don't realize how many contracts you review every day, right?
Yeah, like the other day I was
or an agreement, or
I was at my school appointment. She's like, okay, I just need you to sign this. And I was like, what is this for? And she's like, this is just saying that you'll get your check. And I was like, okay, I'm not, like, when will I get this? She's like, well, and so she like, explained it to me. And I was like, okay.
And did you read it? You
I
read it before you signed it?
like, and it was just like an X with a line underneath, and I was like,
because you're taking the time to read it, and it throws people off.
There was nothing to read though, and so I didn't know like what my signature was for.
Right.
And so I was like really hesitant about it, and she's like, I promise it's just for your check, saying that you did the work, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
okay.
because you're 18 now. Like, your signature, like, means something.
Yeah.
Now. Right.
And so I was like, okay. And so, like, even when I get, like, school paperwork, and I had to sign that, like, signing out of school, I was like, reading everything.
Yeah.
And if I have a question, then I ask you.
Right.
And so I know what the fuck I'm signing.
Have you noticed, side note, that people, like, when you're, like, signing a form, they, like, get impatient because you're reading through it?
Yeah.
Like, they just expect you to sign it, but, like, we know that, like, you have to read everything before you sign it, and so we're like...
Yeah.
To make sure that we've got everything
Then they
read.
kind of panic. And I'm like, what's in here that I'm not supposed to know?
Right.
And so that's why I read it so carefully.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there are big words in there, and I'm like...
I don't know what this means.
Okay.
I need a friend.
Yeah. But yeah, they really do grow impatient. They like panic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. So that was me breaking the silence, like really having those conversations and being open and honest with Shauna to be like, hey, like I don't feel comfortable, and here's why. And that was super helpful for going into future situations, because now she's aware that that's a thing for me.
And so she tries to help it
And
out.
so she's like, hey, you okay?
Yeah.
You good? Or Justin will check in too. He's like, hey, you okay? You good?
You're squishing
Oh my
his head.
God, I'm so sorry, Ted.
He's got a big ass head.
We have 2 new group members. This is Ted.
This is my son.
This is Mama's kid. He's been a part of our life since she was a year old. He's been restuffed. That's why he's a little stiff.
Dude, he was restuffed when I was in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
That was like 7 years
grade.
ago. And he's still...
Yeah, he's still real firm.
Yeah, like, bro.
Yeah, Miss Susan did a really good job on him.
Yeah, she did.
And then this is Barry. This is my baby. He helps me sleep. He holds all my stuff. He travels with me everywhere we go. He's a great snack holder. So, okay, moving on to step 2. Separate fact from feeling. Realize that just because you feel unqualified does not mean you are unqualified. Remember, there is a reason you were hired or given additional responsibilities.
Yep.
So that really came into play for me at the board meeting. Like, just because I felt like I didn't have a place at the table, my place at the table was made very clear after that discussion.
Yeah. So I don't remember what grade it was. Anyways, I had a teacher. It was my art teacher.
That was like 1st grade.
Yeah.
Because we were still in Laramie.
Yeah. And it still sticks with me. So I've always had a hard time with like art and understanding primary and secondary and triary. Something like that.
Tertiary.
There you go.
Tertiary colors.
Yeah.
On the color wheel.
Yep. And she told my mom, she was like, she doesn't understand a color wheel. And basically said, your daughter doesn't get anything. And it stuck with me for a while. It still does.
Yeah.
And I told, basically I'm telling that teacher to fuck off. Because with makeup, you have to bring colors together.
Right.
And even though I may not understand the color wheel, it's colors that work well together that may not be together on the color wheel.
Right. Because they can
makeup.
blend together.
Yeah.
They can blend together. Like, you've done some pretty cool looks. We'll see if we can find some pictures for you, but she's done some pretty cool looks.
Pink, purple, blue, and yellow all in one. I did blue and pinks.
You did yellow and pink.
I
think you've done yellow and pink.
Yep. So, like, you just gotta figure out what...
And normally, like, right offhand, you're like, that doesn't go together.
Yeah, but the second you learn how to blend it together and figure out where it goes, you're fine. And so, I feel like the color wheel doesn't really mean much. Like, you just gotta figure out what works for you.
Right. Those are the rules.
There's no rules.
Yeah, but as a makeup artist, like...
Yeah.
Meh.
No.
You know, the rule back in the old days was your eyeshadow had to match whatever color you were wearing.
And I've completely broken that rule.
Yeah, and I try and I don't realize it, but I do the same thing.
You do.
But there are some times where I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's really interesting.
I've noticed that I don't follow that rule.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
Because like I could be wearing a green shirt and having pink eyeshadow.
Right.
Like there is a few times where I was wearing a bright pink shirt and I have bright pink makeup on.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of times where I have a blue shirt on and I'm wearing yellow for makeup, like, and so it never mixes.
Black and yellow, black and yellow. I don't know why that made me think of that song. I'm sorry.
Because the way I said yellow.
Okay.
Fucking idiot.
All right, so number 3 is recognize when you should have doubts. You are not expected to know everything when you first begin your career. Some level of doubt helps to develop clinical curiosity and leads to the discovery of new information. Now, that last statement, she's talking about pharmacy techs, and because that's what she's talking about in this article, is pharmacy techs and how they experience the imposter syndrome as they're getting into their new job, because they're going from like intern to, you know, like schooling in first year and being a supervisor to like, you know, going back down to a level again. So that's what she's talking about, that curiosity, that clinical curiosity leading to the discovery of new information, because as we know, in the realm of medicine, there's always new studies coming out. New information, okay, well, it did work, now it doesn't work, here's why, we need more studies, and now it works for this, and yeah, so that's what she's talking about there.
I'm out of apple juice.
Fail.
I know.
Fail. Did you ever come to a point in any of your endeavors where you had doubts about your career?
So I've been serving for over about a year now. And I never thought I was going to be able to serve like full time, because especially with working somewhere with a bar, because our drink menu is kind of intense.
Outback's drink menu? Yeah.
Because we have like different kind of white wines and red wines, and then different kind of whiskeys and different kind of gins, and
those like the wines switch sometimes.
Yeah. And then our
trying to do inventory was crazy.
And then our draft system switches all the time. And
right.
Sometimes we're out of this and sometimes we're out of that, and our bottle switches all the time, and like,
and what we have in draft, I say we, I don't work there anymore. What you have in draft
switches constantly.
Doesn't always match
what's on the menu.
What you have in bottles either. So if they order like a Blue Moon and you're at a draft, we have bottles.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't. Like, so it's like a thing.
Yeah, and so it's really hard to like keep up with that and trying to memorize, oh, okay, what alcohol goes in the old fashioned?
Ugh. It's like bourbon whiskey or something else.
Bourbon and whiskey are totally different things.
Yeah, I know, but there's like, I'm trying to think of the little like mini screen.
There's
it's like
hard.
Yeah.
And so it's like bourbon whiskey.
Yeah, there's a third one that goes in there. I can't think of it.
And like, so you have to like think, okay, what does it say in the menu? Because they read what's in it.
Right.
But then sometimes when people are like, can I get a whiskey old fashioned?
Right.
And you're like, yeah. And so you know which one to click.
Right.
But if they just say, can I get an old fashioned? You're like, okay, I need to think about.
I always pick the first one.
Yeah, and so I have two.
I don't care what that is.
But then there's sometimes that people are like, this doesn't have whiskey in it.
Right.
And you're like, you didn't say you wanted whiskey because this one says it has gin in it.
Right.
And so like you just have to keep up with that, and it's really fucking hard. And there's sometimes that I'm still like, okay, what's our house Cabernet?
Right.
And it's either 14 Hands or Stimson's.
Right.
And so you kind of gotta just guess or ask.
Well, and then they have the liniments too.
Yeah.
Right.
And
yeah.
So it's hard.
Right.
And so there was a time that I was gonna be like, I'm never gonna get this. But I'm still a year in and still asking questions.
Right.
And I never get judged, and I never get it. Like, and so I.
Because we all struggle with it.
Even with
the bartenders who have been there for like years. Like, so they're like, well, it's supposed to be liniments, but we're out of that.
So it's 14 hands.
You can run it under 14 hands.
Yeah.
Or what?
And so like
19 crimes or whatever.
Like even our craft beers.
Right.
What's Blue Moon? Pay that up.
Right.
And so trying to remember those, okay, what is...
And then, like, the modelo.
Yeah.
Like,
and so, like, you kind of, like, gotta remember everything. And I even have cheat sheets for it, and sometimes those don't work.
Right.
Because it changes.
Right.
And, like, we used to have our Bloom and Blonde, but now we don't have anything for that.
Right.
And so there's still a Bloom and Blonde button. Like, and so you're like, I don't even need that.
And so they're like, oh, well, ring, you know, whatever new beer we have under that.
Yeah. And you're like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Why? This doesn't make, why don't we just have a button?
Yeah. And I wish we had buttons for every type of craft beer.
Mm.
Okay, I need a craft Blue Moon.
Tall.
I need a craft Foster's tall. And we don't have that.
So that is when you should have doubts, right?
Yes.
Like this is a real thing. Like,
and there
this
has
is
been
a
few
struggle.
times where, like, I'm like, okay, I need a Coors Light. And they're like, will you put in a Bloom and Blonde? I'm so sorry. I really need a Coors Light. They're the same price. Can I leave it under the ticket as that? Yeah. Okay, I just need to let you know that I really do need a Coors Light.
Right.
And I get it.
Right.
But then, like, and so that's when the doubts kick in. And then I lost my place.
That's where the doubts kick in. So that is a real doubt versus an I can't do this.
Yeah.
A genuine I can't do this. Okay. So that is where it comes to play, as it's in a for real legitimate doubt, because it's a struggle, and it's not a I can't do this, I'm never going to be able to do this.
No, it's
something I'm truly struggling with.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between those. So number 4 is focus on the positive, keeping a folder, file, or list of positive accomplishments. Revisit this list of accomplishments when you are doubting your abilities. Take a moment to remember and celebrate your previous victories. So this was actually a part of an assignment, a homework assignment that I had for counseling. So I literally have, I had to write a list of my successes, because I was saying in counseling, like, I don't know, like, what I've done. I'm literally just, like, living life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally just surviving through life. And so he was like, what are you talking about? You just listed, like, 3 of them when you were telling me that you helped form a 501c3. Nobody else can, like, the normal person does not know how to form a company. And I was like, okay, like, you're right.
Yeah. And so we sat here.
Yeah.
And you told me,
this was my assignment.
Yeah.
I need help with successes. And I was like, I was expecting you to, like, list them off. I'm like, okay, yeah, go. And you're like, all right, name one. And I'm like, what? No, like, this is...
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to do it for you. Yeah, no.
She didn't help me. No, she did.
I wrote them down, and there was a few of them that I was, like, waiting for you to list it off.
Right.
And then you finally did. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, God. 8 of them later, like, Jesus.
And it's just, like, I literally had to, like, go through and be like, was that a success? Was that not a success? Like, was that just something I would have done anyway? Like, does it count as a success? Like, way overthinking it. But we ended up finding 2 really big lists. These are those really big sticky notes that you get for, like, the poster board stuff. Mm-hmm. But, like, we ended up with 2 lists. And so every time where I'm like, I start to have those doubts, which are becoming less and less now, I come back to these. And these are generally hung up in our hallway, so that I can see them every day as I'm running, like, back and forth to the bathroom, or running back and forth from my room to the living room. So, like, it's a thing. And then, so it's just something that helps you really stay engaged in the here and now.
Look, he's got a little nose.
Oh, he's got a mocle. While still realizing that while you're working on this, you do have previous successes. Step 5 is develop a new response to failure and mistake making. Figure out a way to learn from your mistakes. Use the lessons you learned from your failure to help guide future decisions and improve. This has been such a ride.
Quite the journey.
With this
Quite
podcast.
the fucking journey.
In between all of the technological craziness that has never happened to anybody before has happened. Things happen that weren't supposed to happen. Things happen that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Things are working that generally don't work. Things are working that generally don't work. And it's just been like this constant involvement of what is working and what is not working. I think we finally got a system figured out. We still are working on a few technological issues. But for the most part, this has been quite the learning process. It's been super frustrating because I researched how to do this shit for 2 years and it all fell apart.
Yeah.
So why is this doing this? What am I coming up against? What am I fighting up against in order to get here? You know what I mean? So all of those doubts came in, but we are definitely learning with every single podcast that we do, or every single episode that we do on how to get all of this together. So it's definitely, you fail forward. I think is like Will Smith was talking about that. Rule number 6 is write the rules. You do not have to always be right or always do everything alone. It's okay to ask for help.
We're real bad at that.
You went your head around so fast, I was like, oh man, it's coming.
No, we're so bad at that. There was one day at work,
I'm gonna do this myself.
Yeah, I was working in the morning. I think I was pulling a double that day. And yeah.
It's so sad.
I know.
It's so sad. It's story.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's really not that bad. But I was working a double that day, and we got our asses handed to us in the morning.
Oh, sometimes that does happen.
And I say we. It was only me. Because you have your server side and then you have bar side.
Yeah.
But I was getting my ass handed to me. I had I want to say 9 tables, and then one of them was a 10 top.
Oh, yeah.
And Sabrina, our lovely bartender, love her so much.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's way cool.
Yeah. Had 1 table, and she saw that I was struggling, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna go outside and smoke. And I'm like, okay. And then,
bruh, I'm drowning.
Yeah, and at the end of the rush, I was cleaning up all my tables because we obviously didn't have a host in the morning. And my manager, Nikki, was like, hey, you okay? And it was and I literally looked at her. I was scraping off a plate and was like, no, I am so frustrated.
I got it.
Sabrina, yeah,
it's fine.
But don't help me because I will figure it out.
Right.
And she's like, well, if you ever need help, let me know. And she was already cooking on the line, and so I'm not gonna pull her off the line to help me.
And there's 2 cooks on the line during the day, right? When there's normally 4 or 5
at night. And so if it was at night, I would have been like, please help me.
Right.
Please help
a sister
me.
out.
But again, I'm not gonna put the back of house in jeopardy because I'm in jeopardy.
Right.
And so that's just not something I do. And so she's like, well, if you ever need help, let me know. And I was like, that will never happen, ever. And she's like, well, you need to ask for help. Again, don't know how to do that. So it's just hard to realize, okay, I'm drowning. I need saved.
Right.
And I've never thought of it that way, but it's the way I usually think of it is I'm drowning, save yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Save yourself.
I think that's because we have been in that survival mode for so long that we're just I got it. I'll figure it out. Mm-hmm. I'm the only one I can rely on anyway, which is faulty thinking anyway. It's toxic thinking. So we're definitely trying to get out of that.
Mm-hmm. I've always hated that saying, you're the only one at the end of the day. You're the only one that has yourself at the end of the day. Because that's not true.
It is true, but with your support system, it shouldn't have to be that way.
Right.
Right?
So,
you gotta
I
get,
never liked that saying, because I have you, I have Tavia, I have Mina.
Anthony.
And so it's not just me.
You're right.
It's somebody, it's people that I truly trust and that I know love me.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin in the background.
Yeah, he stands real far back though.
Yeah, he does. he's always.
He stands with like this.
Shaking his head all the time.
Yeah. Like, bro, can you stop fucking I'm gonna start playing as if just stop shaking your head.
Alright, rule number 7 is develop a new script. Figure out a way to tell yourself that it is okay to feel awkward in a new situation.
We're not awkward.
We're definitely not awkward, but we definitely do have to come up with those new ways of thinking, because it's just a thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's the best way to be. Visualize success. Rule number 8, visualize success. What does that look like, and what do you need to get there? So that brings us to the next visual aid of the day. It's Mama's poster. You need to move your big ass head.
Okay, damn. Here go.
And so this is literally like her list. She was having a hard day. And so she was talking about, let's see if we move it over here. Here, you can show it off like you're in kindergarten.
It's show and tell.
This is your show and tell. So,
can you see it?
It is her list of things that she needed to do. She was having a really hard day. She's like, we had a frank conversation, you know, because she had fucked up, you know. She had made some decisions that were not ending out well for her. And I sat down with her at the dining room table and was like, all right.
Like 30 minutes before I had to be at work.
Yeah, 30 minutes. And she's a fucking mess. You know, she's crying and she's doing the whole gamut. And
that was the same day of my ass getting ripped at work.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just a bad day all around.
Yeah.
And the way I handle working with the youth that I work with, that are in foster care and out of home placement, you know, I'm like, you know, I don't need to sit here and tell you fucked up. Like, you already know.
This literally happened last night.
That you fucked up. Yeah, literally. I was like, so, like, what are we going to do to fix this? Like, what are we going to do to make this better? And so I had to write a list of need to do's and want to do's. Mm-hmm. And she made up a whole list of, like, need to do's and a couple of things on the want to do's.
I think there's 3.
Yeah. And I said, okay, so these are your need to do's, right? And she said, yeah. And I said, you realize you don't have to do anything on this list. Yeah. You don't. You can choose to not do any of these things because you don't have to do any of these things. I was like, and she's like, yeah, I do, because I don't want my life to be
nothing.
Like, yeah, to not have anything. And I said, okay, so the first thing that you need to understand is that you're choosing to do these things. This isn't a have to do. These are the things that you're choosing to do because you want these other things. So that needs to be the first realization. And then we kind of walk through step by step in the order that it needs to happen, and then broke it down into like some smaller achievable goals. So that, you know, is the way to visualize your success. Like, what does that look like for you? And how do you get there? And then I think the biggest thing with that one too is to realize that you are physically and mentally making the choice to have those things happen, right? Like, this isn't, oh, I need to do this and I need to do this, I need to do this. I think we really need to focus on the wording with that and switch I need to do to I choose to do. Because these are choices, and you have to be super aware that these are choices that you're making in order for these things to happen.
I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, you have to go to work. Like, you don't have that choice. And he's like, I don't have to go to work. He's like, the things
you are absolutely right.
He was like, the only things that I have to do is stay white and die. That's what he tells me all the time. I'm like,
yeah, literally. He's not wrong. He is not wrong.
All right.
He's
if
not
that's
wrong.
What you want, okay. All right.
Yeah, and he's not wrong. So tip number 9 is to reward yourself. Take a few moments to truly realize what you have accomplished. We are also really bad about that. I'm trying to be so much better about that.
The second that we have one of our accomplishments, it's, okay, what's next?
Right. Okay, yep, that's done. That's marked off. Okay, like, what are we doing next?
Yep.
Like, yeah.
And so we don't take that second to be like,
good job, you did it! Good job! Oh my we should totally go celebrate.
Yeah.
Like, let's go have a drink or have a nice dinner or whatever.
When you got your new job, I took you out to lunch.
You bought me flowers.
I did buy you flowers.
You bought me flowers. They were so pretty.
Yeah. And I took you to lunch.
Yes.
And so I think that's like the only time that I can think about when we had that huge accomplishment and we celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
Even for my graduation, like, I didn't really even celebrate.
Yeah, because you didn't want to party.
Yeah.
You didn't want to party, so we didn't do a party.
Yep.
But we do big celebrations for, like, birthdays, and we do family stuff together.
Yeah, and so my birthday was a month right before that.
Yes.
And we went to a dinner.
Yep.
Well, and then we had the graduation dinner.
Right before. That was like the celebration kind of thing. Yep. So just take that moment to reward yourself. And then last is fake it till you make it. You do not have to wait until you feel confident to put yourself out there. Taking risks can build your confidence. While I agree with what they are saying here.
I fucking hate that saying.
I hate that line, fake it till you make it. Because
you're not being true.
That takes away from your authenticity, which we talked about in episode 2. You know, and we will continue to have this conversation about being authentic and being true to yourself because it's a huge theme of the book series. Like, being authentic is so, and I think we struggle with that in today's world, especially with social media and that kind of thing. So I really struggle with fake it till you make it, but I do believe that you do need to have that facade of confidence as you're doing things.
Yeah.
Because, once again, you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah. We're really good about walking into a room and be like, and, like, nobody can tell us different. But inside, we're freaking the fuck out.
Yeah. My pantyhose ripped before I got here. My shoes are too big. My hair's out of place.
My socks falling off.
My hair didn't curl the right way. My eyelashes coming off. It's stabbing me in my eye. My eyeshadow didn't blend right. I mean, we were running through like
yeah. But nobody has to know that.
The whole thing.
Nobody needs to know that or see that.
Right. But when we walk into a room, we are like, yes, I am here. And then
my anxiety kicks in. It's like, don't look at me.
Yeah, because everybody's like,
yeah. I'm like,
you know, then you're just like, okay, we're just gonna walk.
I'm gonna find my feet.
And we're gonna
hope that I don't fall.
Right.
Yeah.
But it just happens when we walk into a room like that. That's just what happens, and it's happened our whole life. So I do believe that you need to be able to own who you are, know who you are, which is a process. I am definitely still going through that process right now. But, you know, just know and be confident in your abilities. Like, I shouldn't have questioned, going back to the board meeting, I shouldn't have questioned that. I should have been like, yes, like, I did these things, and this is how I contributed, and this is how I'm going to contribute. You know, I'm going to continue. Yeah, and you know, doing the research for scholarships, opportunities, and writing grants and stuff like that. Like, that's my contribution to this agency. So that is about it. So wrapping all of these points back up to the original quote. The original quote was, "Believe in yourself, and you will find a way." I truly think that once you get over the imposter syndrome, I think that is a huge hurdle for a lot of people, us included. Mm-hmm. It really takes knowing what you bring to the table, doing that, you know, inventory about the qualities that you have and what you want for yourself, the choices that you're making for yourself, and realizing that every new situation is scary. Mm-hmm. 110%. Even without all of that self-doubt and those questions about yourself, just like Zoe does. At the end of the day, Zoe does shit and she gets shit done. Mm-hmm. You know, she owns every single book that is in this series. And as you see, as the series progresses, she becomes more and more confident in her abilities to lead and abilities to make decisions. And I think that really resonates with what everybody else is going through in life. We are all going through the same shit. We are all having those questions. We are all having those doubts. We are all experiencing those new situations and those scary things. So I think it's just really believing in what you bring and in believing yourself, like, as a person,
Right.
right? Then that is when you will find those answers. Because you can't think clearly when you're dealing with all this other and Shaniqua bullshit going on over here in the corner, right? You're not like focused on the task at what's going on. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email or message us on YouTube. Our email is smilegirldon'tbenervous@gmail.com. We have Instagram, which is smilegirldon'tbenervous, or at smilegirldon'tbenervous.
Still working on TikTok, so sorry.
Still figuring out TikTok?
I did figure it out. I just need to take the time to make it.
Miss Slacker over here.
Yeah, sorry.
And please like, comment, share. Share us with your friends. Tell people about us. We'd love to hear your comments. Once again, the constructive criticism, thank you for all the comments that are coming in, and messages and phone calls that I've been getting are amazing. Thank you so very much for being our supporters. Once again, thank you to Justin Bragg for being a sponsor. Also, what I forgot to mention earlier in the episode is going back to my girls' products and stuff.
Yeah.
Shauna over at Glamity Jane, I got this new cup. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it is a unicorn. And he's pouting, and he says, "I'm not a hot mess, I'm a spicy disaster." So, this is my new cup because this totally signifies me.
Even though you don't like unicorns.
I know, even though I don't like unicorns, but this is so me because I am Miss Pouty Face all the time.
Yeah. I got a new cup too.
You did get a new cup.
But it's in my car.
Fail.
It's a pretty daisy.
Okay.
It's a sunflower.
Well, you can bring that to the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, join us for our next quote, our next episode. Our next quote is going to be from Mark, talking about darkness and light, and they may not always be what they seem. So thanks for coming. Like, comment, share again, and we will see you next time. All right.